Hey guys, this is the Rogue 2 podcast. My name is Aiden. I'm one of the hosts here with Isaac, the other host.
Welcome.
Here we discuss movie news and then focus down on a particular topic that we feel like rambling about and hang out here for an hour having a good time. So, welcome to that.
Yeah, it's exciting. We've got a lot to talk about today. We've got
We have some
plenty of
crazy
news,
news.
and then we're going to be just doing a little retrospective on Iron Man, just because Doomsday's coming out. So, yeah, should be fun.
It has been a little while since we've seen Iron Man, so this retrospective is quite a fun thing to talk about.
Yeah, totally.
But first things first, I am curious, Isaac, what have
hmm
you been watching this week?
Well, I mean, after the previous week where I went to the movies quite a bit, I followed that up with more movies. So I went and
Yeah.
saw FNAF last week. It was the
Ah,
second
yeah.
one. Again, one of the most packed theaters I've seen in such a long time. It's crazy. And just, it was, if you've seen the first one, it's pretty much on par with the quality of the first one. It's pretty like silly and very much for the fans. But it was a lot of fun, and especially to be surrounded by so many people, like excited and pointing out references and all that. And it was scarier than the first, but like barely. I wouldn't really call it scary. It's just, but it was a lot of fun. And yeah, it's just, if you know the games at any sort of level, it's pretty enjoyable. If you don't, I don't know as much, but I don't know about if you would enjoy it as much. But yeah, really solid. Again, nothing special. I probably won't rewatch this because if I rewatch it, I'll probably not like it nearly as much.
Yeah,
But
that does happen with certain movies.
yeah, but I'll definitely be there day one for the third one, which is very much
Oh, yeah.
clearly being set up.
I mean, as long as it's a fun time, I guess you can't really complain about that.
Yeah, it's just a
Yeah,
fun movie.
that's pretty good.
Yeah, what about you? What have you been watching?
I saw for the first time a movie called Journey to Bethlehem, which was
Oh,
quite an interesting to watch. First of all, I went into it knowing exactly how it was going to end. Funnily
I
enough,
can imagine now.
um, I wonder how I could have possibly known that. It was it was interesting to me. I don't mind musicals. I am a musical person by nature. I got a guitar right here. I love music. The movie itself felt, I guess, awkwardly paced, and in general, I guess it was just kind of less for me as a movie. But I didn't hate it. I found it to be a pretty good watch. Uh, Pretty chill time. It was just kind of a hangout, so I can't really argue with that. And then outside of that, I was continuing my watch through of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Some episodes went into some actually really deep concepts, which I thought was interesting to watch, and the show continues to just be such a consistently good watch. So I've been really enjoying
Yeah,
that.
yeah, sweet. Um, but yeah, should we get into the news?
I'm so ready for this news. This has been a crazy,
Yeah,
crazy week. So should we get right into the deep end
yep,
with I
yep,
think what everybody on the planet has already been kind of talking about, which definitely needs to be addressed. So would you like to kick it off with that?
yeah, sure. So, two little companies, two companies you've probably never heard of. We got Warner Brothers and Netflix. So Netflix bought Warner Brothers, which has had an interesting response because, well, everyone's kind of. It seems like this is another step towards this, scary future where all the companies are just owned by one company. It feels like it's getting closer and closer to that. Because for me, I always thought of Warner Brothers as one of the big ones, like one of the bigger, more wealthy studios. But
Yeah,
just
right.
a combination of like poor like movie sales, they tended to do like huge budgets for movies, just like absurdly large budgets for movies that just completely flop. And even after like this year, last year, and even 2023 for the most part were pretty successful for them. Just all that like continual, you know, debt and like spending money that they don't have has just kind of led to this. Um, there were a few options on who was going to buy them. I think Paramount, Universal, and yeah, Netflix. And I always
Yeah,
thought that Netflix was the most likely one because they're just an absolute titan. And but they need more IP. They don't have
yeah.
many IP, and so I feel like this is the clear one. But it's also probably the scariest out of all of them because Netflix, by nature, isn't really a film studio; it's a streaming service. So, what do you think about like the future we could see with a streaming service owning a big film studio?
I think if they are actively hoping to build it up to a point because they want their consumers to like them for it, I guess, they've got to put in the work to keep like movies coming to the cinemas and make
Hmm.
sure the stuff they're putting out is stuff we want. However, Netflix does not have a very good track record of that. So I am very cautious about this deal. However,
Hmm.
on the note of studios involved, since this announcement, Paramount put out a larger bid, which I think is interesting. They're trying to,
Yes.
they're making an attempt to snipe it out. And people want Warner Bros., it seems like, but I question if any of them are really going to know what to do with them. Or if they're just doing it for the sake of having more stuff, you know, like Disney.
Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned that because yeah, the deal isn't finalized. They're still working things out, and so I think it will go through. But like, there is a chance that another someone like Paramount does take it off them, or they have to remain as separate entities and all that. So it's not finalized. We don't really know where it's going. We probably won't see like the effects of this deal for at least like a year and a half. But they have said
Yeah.
that HBO Max, which is owned by Warner Brothers, and Netflix will remain separate for the moment, for the time being. How long that will last is interesting to think about. But yeah, what I think will happen though in the future is I think we'll start to see certain things like IPs moving over to Netflix. Like we could see, say, I don't know, like some DC movies are just on Netflix that are just not
Yeah.
on HBO Max. Like some like maybe the Dark Knight trilogy or something, I don't know. Or we could see like original shows that are like for DC
Mm.
on Netflix or
Yeah.
that sort of thing, just using those IP or like Looney Tunes movies or something like that. Just, you know, some going on this one, some going on that one. Um, but yeah, it's scary to think because people think eventually that they will just completely combine, they will fuse, and it will just be like one big streaming service. And when you get to that point, like they can start charging a lot more for their streaming service because it's like from their logic, it's like two combined. So it's like, why don't we charge 40 a month or 50 or 60 or 70 a month?
Yeah.
You know, they
100%.
yeah.
There's absolutely nothing stopping them from draining all our bank accounts even more than they already do. Like, first of all, they made Netflix at a reasonable price, but then they thought, oh, we can make more money from ads, and we can make even more money
Hmm.
by having an additional ad-free option. Like, that wasn't the idea in the first place. But what I do find interesting is they both Paramount and Netflix have bid so much money to try to get Warner Bros. Like a crazy amount of money. Both studios have a habit of, especially recently, canceling a lot of stuff
Yes.
for the sake of it because they don't want to make more. One of my favorite running shows at the moment, Star Trek Lower Decks, got cancelled after 5 seasons. But they got so much money that they're putting into just trying to obtain another IP. Why don't they just use the obviously decent amount of money they've got to keep putting out stuff that we're actually enjoying
Yeah.
instead of like maybe one or two names every few years? Like, what does Netflix really have um that they had going on for a while, like Stranger Things, and that's
In
pretty
like
much it
Squid
that I can
Game.
think of. And like Squid Game,
Yeah.
they've they've got a bunch of money, and it doesn't feel like they're using it to actually put out stuff that we want to see. And so this goes for either of them. If they do obtain Warner Bros., it does make me quite nervous that what if they just continue that pattern? They have all this cool stuff, but now they don't really want to put out anything new because why should they be using their money to make actual stuff to stream instead of just using their money to obtain stuff that's already been done?
Yeah. I think also like Netflix's track record isn't great. Like 90% of their originals are just like terrible. And so
Yeah.
it's kind of scary to think like what they will do with these big brands now and just like damage their reputation with these sorts of things. So yeah, it's an uncertain thing, but as was said, it's not finalized yet because they could come out by saying like this isn't like allowed. You cannot acquire this because of a fear of a monopoly. So
Mm.
there is a possibility that it doesn't completely happen the way we might think, but yeah, it's scary to think about.
Yeah. I would really like for whatever happens to go well for the consumers. But just based on how things have been in recent years, I think the caution that obviously everybody has is very well deserved. So we will see what happens and just keep hoping it doesn't go too badly.
Yeah. All right. So another
Out of the
interesting.
heavy stuff and into the
Yes.
more
Now
interesting,
we've
more
got all the
exciting
fun
stuff.
sort of things to talk about, and so um, the Batman 2, when it eventually comes out after being delayed like 4 times or something, we've it should come out in 2027, but we haven't heard like literally anything about it except for like which cast members are coming back from the first one. Essentially, that's all we know
Mm.
until now. We heard that Scarlett Johansson is in final talks to be in this movie, which is something I did not see coming because she's been like in so many movies. You know, she's a part of Jurassic World now. She's going to be in The Exorcist. So I thought, wow, this is surprising. She's just dominating all these big franchises, which, hey, good for her. But it's said that she's playing either like some like a villain or like some sort of love interest turned into villain. So,
Yeah,
what do you
right.
think, Aiden?
I reckon Scarlett Johansson has proven herself to be an amazing actress. So
Yes,
whatever role she's got, I have confidence that it's going to go well.
100%.
I do think it's just kind of funny to see when an actor or actress gets so big, they end up in just about everything. Like there's plenty of other actors who've done that, and I guess good on her. But I'm really excited to see what kind of character she actually gets roped into playing and how that all impacts the overall movie.
Yeah, I mean, some names that have been like tossed around as like the Phantasm from Mask of the Phantasm, because
Yeah,
that's
right.
that sort of story of like a twist villain is a big thing. So I think that's probably where I'm leaning towards most. People have said like Poison Ivy or like maybe even a Harley Quinn. I'm not really sure though. My best guess would be the Phantasm, honestly. But what about
Yeah.
you, Aiden? Do you have any predictions?
I honestly am not too sure with Scarlett Johansson. I reckon
Yeah.
Poison Ivy would be kind of cool. Um, I
Hmm.
would love to just in general, and I hope she's not the only villain. Like
Yes.
the Batman one had like three different villains, which or villain characters from
Hmm.
the comics at least. I don't remember too much of how they were portrayed. It's been a while since I've seen it. I should probably rewatch it.
Yeah.
But like, I would very much love to see more obscure DC villains in general be brought in.
100%.
Because obviously we all know the Joker, we all know Riddler, we all know Bane, like all those characters that we've seen in every possible version of Batman ever. But there are so many obscure villains out. I'm still hoping for the Eraser. I am I'm crossing my fingers for the day when we get live action Eraser.
Yeah,
But I just want to see any kind of obscure villain in this film, which would just be really cool.
yeah, I agree totally. I hope that the Batman, uses its groundedness to maybe, yeah, bring to light some lesser known characters, and then we can have some of the more iconic ones maybe in like the Brave and the Bold or vice versa. But yeah, it's exciting, good casting. So yeah, can't wait to see more news about the
Oh
Batman
yeah.
too.
Well. We have also received some poster reveals for a certain Nicolas Cage Spider-Man, which
Yes.
is probably one of the most interesting choices. So what they've announced now with this is they're going to do Spider-Man Noir. I have no idea exactly how to pronounce that. I think I said
Yeah,
that
Spider-Man Noir. Yeah.
right. They are going to release him in both a black and white release as well as a color release. So a bit like Werewolf by Night, I think, did that
Yeah.
as well. Which I just think is really cool. I'll probably watch it in color just because I don't really care for the aesthetic, but I love that there's the option there because that's a part of his character in the Spider-Verse films.
Yeah.
And in general, he was such a brilliant character in Into the Spider-Verse that I'm really excited for whatever happens in this. I think it's a series, is it?
Yeah, it's a series. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, I don't actually know much about this series yet, but I'm excited to find out. I'm really looking forward to it. And I do believe it is Nicolas Cage in there.
Yeah, it is, which is like
Yeah.
so crazy to think about. Like, it's such a random thing to happen. It's just like going to be on like Amazon Prime, like, or something. It's like such a random thing to come out, but
Sounds
yeah,
about right. But
I
I'm
think
looking
I'll.
forward to it.
Yeah,
And the posters look amazing, by the way. I really like the
yes,
poster
they're very
design.
good.
It's so nice.
Yeah, I think I'll watch it in black and white because I think that'll be
Yeah, right.
more interesting. But yeah, it'd be interesting to compare if you watch it in color and I watch it in black and white. But yeah, we don't know much
I
about the show, but it's exciting.
I would like. I just think it would be cool if each version had a few different like minor details that were different. Maybe different little hints towards other stuff that you would only see in one version, so that there's, especially for those people who love to pay attention to every little thing, more reason to potentially watch both forms.
Yeah, that would actually be really cool. Yeah, I like different releases of like shows and movies, like with different unique details. So yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah, 100%. Now, I reckon it's time we chat about what I would consider to be the most exciting announcement I have heard in quite a while.
Hmm.
So there was this is two announcements that we have gotten in the last week or two that is absolutely crazy to me. Now, one of them I did kind of expect. I was talking about this with my dad a little back when we saw Back to the Future, and we were talking about re-releases, and we were kind of expecting this, but to have it confirmed is just really cool. They're doing Star Wars in its theatrical release in, I believe, 2027.
Yes.
And this is like the very original Star Wars A New Hope, exactly as it came out. That's super exciting. I believe it'll be like it's an anniversary release, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's around the original release date, or maybe like somewhere between like May and like July, somewhere around that time of year.
Yeah,
But yeah.
100%. Now, I have never seen the original theatrical version of this, so I'm really
Yes.
excited to do that. And I reckon, like, I know I can get a DVD of it, but I'm going to hold off and I am going to see its theatrical for the first time when that's re-released. I reckon that'll be really exciting and such a fun little look back at how movies used to be like as well.
Yeah. I watched the original cut of A New Hope. Well, they call it. It was originally just called Star Wars. If you've never seen it, it's actually like surprisingly very different from
Yeah, right.
the special edition version. Like so many changes, like different scenes are added and removed, and it's it feels like watching Star Wars in like as not like the franchise, but like just as the movie by itself. It's such a fun way to like rewatch the movie. It's like you're watching the movie for the first time all over again. So like yeah, I would if you haven't seen it, I'd highly
Yeah.
recommend waiting for it to come out in cinemas again.
I'm so
That's
excited
so
for a cinema
exciting.
release.
Yeah.
But that is not the only re-release that we're getting soon.
Yes.
Next year, and this was I found out about this because I was actually at work. I go to the bathroom for a quick second. I pull out Instagram like a little nerd that I am for a moment. First thing that comes up is the Russo brothers Instagram, which I don't even follow. So that was kind of a surprise, but it was an announcement of Avengers Endgame, which is going to be re-released next year in anticipation of Doomsday, which is really exciting because I would still hold Endgame as my favorite cinema experience of all time. I still remember exactly what that was like, and I am excited to relive that movie in a full cinema.
Yeah. I never saw it in cinemas, so I think it'd be very cool to watch it. But on an interesting note, we have heard slight things from the Russo brothers that Doomsday has a connection to Endgame, and more specifically to Iron Man, and even I think to the moment where Iron Man snaps his fingers.
Mm,
So you said there was a potentially like an additional. It's rumored to be an
yeah.
additional post-credit scene added to the film with this new
Mm,
theatrical release that
yes, a hundred
teases.
percent.
Yeah, that teases towards Doomsday.
Mm.
So
Yes, rumors came out about that very quickly after the announcement. Which that possibility opens up so many different, I guess, yeah, possibilities for what they could be trying to tease about it. We know it's most likely going to be a Doomsday tease. They're not just gonna have a new post-credit scene and just have like Steve and Peggy dancing again. Like it's going to be something important, especially since this is released for Doomsday. Like they're doing this to build up the hype again, which not the worst way to do it, I must say. I'm pretty interested. But I reckon this will be 100% probably something they filmed on the set of Doomsday, maybe even a scene in it. I would be curious if this post-credit scene makes it into Disney Plus a little while after the cinema release.
yeah, I mean, do you know when Endgame is actually re-releasing?
I believe it's September next year.
Yeah, well,
I
you
could be
could
wrong
be.
about that, but I think it is.
No, that sounds about right. If that is the case, yeah, we could see it coming to like Disney Plus like a month after that. But yeah, it's very interesting if that is the thing they're doing because people are going to go watch it anyway. Like these re-releases that studios have been doing recently have actually been like really profitable. So I think that would be an interesting way to build hype and like kind of bridge the two movies together, which is
Yeah.
exciting.
And they probably kind of really need because
Yes.
which a lot of people seem pretty critical of the fact that Doomsday doesn't really feel built out, which I will defend this slightly. This year has built it up pretty nicely, and I don't think Infinity War was in itself built up as much as everyone remembers it being.
Hmm.
I remember there being the Thanos post-credit scene in each Avengers movie, which was obviously hinting at him coming in, but they were like minimal teasers from 5 years prior that they said, let's see how we go. And most other MCU movies just kind of work together to build up the universe, but Infinity War itself didn't really get built up much. So I will defend that about Doomsday, but it does
Hmm.
feel like they really need to build up hype as much as they can. So building it up with Endgame is definitely a good move if it works out.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that about that build up. A lot of it was like retconned. Like like Loki's staff
Mm,
wasn't really originally meant to be an Infinity Stone, or like the post credit scene with Thanos in it. That was kind of just thrown in as like a fun Easter egg. That was never
yeah,
like originally meant to be planned out. So a lot of it was like in retrospective, but at the
yeah,
same time, a lot of it was build up, starting to build up about 3 or 4 years before. That's when they decided to
yeah.
start planning that. But yeah, you're
And
right
and
about
don't
that.
yeah. And don't get me wrong, I think they did an amazing job. Like I love the Infinity Saga.
Hmm.
I just think that the complaints about how Doomsday's been built up is ever so slightly forced, but I do get it. So I
Yeah,
am ready to see hopefully a lot more hype build up for that, and then I'm so curious to see what they've included in Endgame to build up to Doomsday. Maybe it's an RDJ as Doom reveal, which I hope they don't do, but or at least a hint at it. Or maybe it's a reveal of something else entirely that we have no idea about. It's
yeah,
probably RDJ, but I'm so curious regardless.
yeah. And even like just this week, we could very well see the first teaser for Doomsday in front of Avatar, which is very exciting.
Oh, I'm so ready for that.
Oh, next week, not this week, but yeah.
Yeah, close enough.
Yeah.
It's actually crazy how close we are to stuff like that. And I'll very briefly touch on that. I heard a rumor that we're getting 4 trailers or so for that,
Yes.
which is one more than I was expecting. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what type of stuff is teased. And then Avatar itself will just be a really, really nice cinema experience,
Yes,
as they
totally.
usually are.
Just on that, like we can just talk about that quickly. Like, because did you
Yeah.
see that like quick like 10-second Supergirl like teaser?
Oh yeah, I did.
Yes.
Which immediately got me excited. It was nice seeing the full design again, outside of just looking drunk for a few moments. Like getting that teaser was really nice, and I'm so excited for a trailer. Hopefully,
Which I think we will see in front of Avatar, and we could also
yeah.
see maybe even Spider-Man, Brand New
Mm.
Day. I think that's pretty likely because that movie comes out in July, and so they want to start building up that hype, especially for like something like Spider-Man.
Actually,
Yeah,
so on these teasers, I just remembered this little bit of information I saw earlier. The Koreans got test viewers of the Doomsday trailer to make sure it was something they can actually distribute. So we
hmm,
now know its runtime is a minute and a half.
yes,
But we also seem to have, I guess, confirmation that a teaser is going to, because I remember this was listed in what they wrote as the cast. It showed RDJ and Pedro Pascal, so maybe we're going to get a bit of focus on the rivalry between Doom and Mr. Fantastic more than anything else in this teaser, which I think would be quite interesting.
yeah, yeah. That's I'm so excited. Can't wait.
It's crazy that we're in a time like this. It's been so long since I really feel like there's been so much room for theorizing for anything Marvel related.
Yeah, I remember like back in 2022 when Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars were first announced, and it was just like that felt so long away, and it's already been
Yeah,
like uh it's been like delayed twice since then, and now it's kind of like it's we're getting into that era again, and it's just crazy.
it's actually happened. Like I remember I so clearly all the hype and all the theorizing of Avengers Endgame. Like everyone had their own theories. Everyone was talking about it. Uh, Obviously, everyone expected the quantum realm and Ant Man to time travel, but like everyone talking about how this was exactly going to go. One of my favorite theories that was absolutely never going to be true. Was some people trying to say the Ant Man we see in Civil War is actually from the future. Like
Ooh,
I
that's
remember
interesting.
stuff like that. That was just fun. And I'm
Yeah,
so excited that hopefully we're back in that kind of time.
yeah,
It obviously is a bit different now, but I really hope that this movie gets really big and everyone's talking about their own theories about it because that's part of the fun of the experience.
yeah. It's just nice to have a movie that you're just like. so excited for because I feel like that's been a while. But yeah, anyway, some more trailers.
Oh yeah. So I saw a trailer this morning actually, for a movie called Cold Storage, which stars Joe Keery and Liam Neeson, and obviously a couple of other people I don't remember. Those are the two names that I just liked out of the trailer. I
Yeah.
thought it looked absolutely hilarious. It looks like a bit of a spoofy horror movie or a comedy horror movie, which features an alien disease, and the two main characters involved are minimum wage workers. That's what I really got out of the trailer, and it just looks so fun. I love Joe Keery. I consider myself a Stranger Things fan, so great actor. Liam Neeson is always quite a good person to have on a cast, so I reckon the movie
Yes.
looks really funny. I have no idea if I'll see it in cinemas, but I do know I'm actually keen to watch that after the trailer. It just looks like it'd be such a great time.
Yeah. I also think it's just kind of funny that they're like kind of releasing all these trailers with like people from Stranger Things around this time when Stranger Things hype is like so high. I just
Oh
think
yeah,
that's just such a
because
funny detail.
yeah, there was another one that I don't remember the name of this one. I'm not as excited for it, but it did look reasonably really good, and it starred the kid who plays Mike in Stranger Things. I don't remember his name. Finn.
Finn
Finn,
Wolfhard.
whatever his last name. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. That's it. I'm sorry if you're ever listening to this. I'm sorry. I will get the names right eventually. But like, I love seeing if a show's been running for a long time. I do like seeing when the actors are able to branch out and be involved in other films. Like Finn was also in Ghostbusters a little while ago,
Yeah.
and I love that with any show. I found out when I realized that the Acolyte had the guy from Squid Game. I don't really like the Acolyte, but I loved that I was able to see
Yeah.
actors like that. I get that feeling a lot out of Star Trek when anyone branches out. So that's I love seeing that. Good
Yeah.
on
It's
you
cool.
to anyone branching out. But the movie itself looks so funny.
Yeah.
Definitely an MA movie. They didn't hold back with the language or gore, but it just looks so funny. I
Yeah, I'll have
reckon
to
it'd be a
check it
great
out.
time. That was not the only strange horror looking trailer that came out recently. We also got a trailer for quite an unexpected sequel, Ready or Not 2. Now, neither of us have seen the first one, but I do know just about everything that happened in it.
Yeah.
Um, it did not seem like the kind of movie that would get a sequel. I will say that. However, when I saw the trailer, I thought, yeah, this will be a fun time. I don't reckon it's going to be the most serious horror movie. I also don't reckon it's going to be the most well explained of sequels. But it looks like such a fun time. Such a, I guess, if they had to expand on the idea of Ready or Not, this is 100% how I see them doing it. So I reckon it'll be quite fun for anyone who enjoyed that. Maybe I'll go back and watch the first Ready or Not at some point and then see the second one because it just looks really nice, kind of
Yeah.
funny. Stacked cast.
Yes.
Both of these movies have stacked casts. Like it's crazy to think about. Go and have a look at that at some point.
Yeah. I do intend to watch it.
But yeah, it's so crazy. We've gotten so many trailers in like the last week. And we're about to get so many more. It's such a great time to be interested in movies.
Yeah. Like December is just like the best month of the year on like so many different levels.
They really know
Yeah,
how to make us feel like it's Christmas. It's such a nice time. I'm so ready for it.
absolutely. All right. I think that's everything in terms of news.
That's everything for now. So shall we get into our main topic?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, I haven't watched Iron Man in pretty much like a few years now.
Yeah.
I think yeah, 3 years it's probably been since I last watched it, which is crazy to think about. But I just haven't been super into Marvel for a little bit. Like I've just kind of had
Yeah, right.
I haven't watched them as much, but coming back into it, watching Iron Man again yesterday. it's just such it's so like it's weird to say, but it's so disconnected. It doesn't really feel like an MCU movie. It just kind of feels like a movie,
Yeah, right.
almost to a point where it's like it kind of feels weird when you see like the big like CGI fight at the end because it's like, oh wait, this is a superhero movie. That's crazy. Yeah, but it's directed by John Favreau, who he actually does like a
Yeah.
really solid job in this movie. Like the writing is really like witty and smart, and like every scene like it just makes sense. Like it all contributes towards the character arc and like the overall story. So it's really solid. Like just looking back at it.
Yeah, right. No, 100%. And because it's the first in the MCU, it's very much of its time where it's not fully in the same formula that Marvel movies seem to be in now. Like, you can definitely tell how early it is from Marvel. Because obviously, this would have just been kind of, let's do an Iron Man movie because we want to make an Iron Man movie, not because we
Yeah,
just want to make another Marvel movie, which you
exactly.
can really see that. And I reckon that enhances it a lot.
Yeah, and just even looking at it, like it's like a mostly grounded world, and so it's like weird to think this is in like the same universe as like Loki and like Thor Ragnarok and
Yeah,
Thanos and all
right.
that. It's crazy to think about. Like people are surprised to see someone in like a Iron Man suit, whereas like modern MCU, it's like, oh, it's just every day.
This is just normal. Black Panther Wakanda Forever, there was just randomly Ironheart out of nowhere, and that
Yeah,
is just normal.
yeah. But I think we should just like go through some certain like aspects of the film. So
Yeah,
should we start
100%.
with characters?
I reckon we should. There are certainly characters in this film.
Yeah, and again, another thing that's weird about this movie because it's the first of Marvel. It's got a kind of small cast. Like it's mainly just
Mm.
Tony, Pepper, Rhodey, and Obadiah Stane. Like just basically
Yeah, so
three main
pretty
characters and a
much,
villain.
yeah, it's a pretty standard movie cast. You've got the main character, his best friend, his love interest, and the antagonist, who in many cases is also one of his best friends at the start. But I don't think that's a bad thing with this. I think this cast works really nicely for what the story needs.
Hmm.
Everyone fills in their role pretty nicely. It
Yeah,
doesn't feel like it's just kind of forced for the sake of it, so that's pretty good.
yeah. So I think each of them kind of serve like a really like important role to Tony's character arc. So with Pepper, she's kind of like at the start you see how she's underappreciated, you know. Tony kind of dismisses her and just like makes her clean up his messes and you know just kind of like looking after him while he doesn't really appreciate her. By the end of it, he comes to appreciate her and realize that she cares for him and actually looks out for him. And the same kind of goes with Rhodey, who's like kind of like trying to keep. He's trying to. He's the one who really highlights that Tony's like a mess at the start. He's like, "What are you doing, showing up drunk to this thing, or you know, not putting any care into it, into your work, and just thinking about like what's best for the company and all that." And then that leads into Obadiah, who's the villain. Tony, after coming out of the cave, wants to change. He wants to actually stop making weapons and trying to actually use his like abilities and wealth to actually make technology to help the world. Whereas Obadiah is like, no, I don't want to change. We just want to keep making weapons. And so
Yeah,
it's just each character really has an important role in Tony's arc, which is just like just good
yeah.
writing. That's what a good
That's
film should be.
that's absolutely crucial to a lot of things. Like you find there are plenty of movies where characters are there and you love them. My great example for that is Chirrut in Rogue One. He's absolutely one of my favorite characters in that film. I love him. But what did he actually contribute to the plot beyond one scene? Like he was just kind of there, and I feel like a lot of characters, some bad, some awesome, but characters can kind of get shoved in this role of they're there, we love to see them, but like why do they need to be there? And so it's really good seeing a movie like this where each character is intentionally put there because it highlights an important part of his story arc and then overall plot line as well.
Yeah. And that's the thing when you get into sequels, the movies feel like they have to include these characters, but don't often have like a good reason to include them. And so
Yeah.
I think this just shows how important it is to have that your movie should ultimately be about a character arc or like a message. And so each
Mm.
aspect of the film, cinematography, score, cast, it all needs to serve that one vision in order to be like a really strong film, I feel. Whereas in more modern Marvel movies, they just like go, oh, we want to use this character because they're from the comics or they're interesting or they'll get more people to come.
Yeah.
And so I think having that balance of, fun characters, but like important characters.
100%.
And just on an interesting note, you remember like Happy Hogan is such a big part of Iron Man. He's hardly in this movie. He's in like a few scenes. It's kind of
It's
crazy to
like
think
the
about.
it's like the director was just like, I want to be there. I don't need to. I just think it'd be kind of funny, and that's probably how Happy Hogan was introduced.
Yeah. Yeah, he was just meant to serve like a small role, but then I mean, I think he's great. I love him as a character. But
Yeah,
it's just interesting to look back. You remember him being much bigger of a character than he actually is in that movie.
yeah. Which that's always a great thing with retrospect. Like, if you don't watch something for a while, you can remember things crazy differently than they actually are.
Yeah.
Like, I remember for whatever reason, when I first saw like Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, I thought Finn and Poe did stuff. I thought they had plenty more screen time than they actually do.
Mm.
But then I rewatched it a third time, and I thought they had more screen time than I remembered from my second watch. And I just think it's interesting how that happens. And that's why it's always good to go back and rewatch movies like this, especially if you haven't seen it in years.
Yeah. And when you like learn more about or pay more attention to films, the more you watch them, and then you go back and you notice stuff that you didn't realize the first time. Like
Yeah, and
you watch it on a more deeper level. You pay attention to more details rather than just like, oh, this is happening, this is happening. You think about like, why is this happening? What's
yeah,
this leading to?
and it's also good when, especially from Marvel, like obviously we've had
Hmm.
so much story arcs for everyone since then that oftentimes it can even recontextualize the movie.
Yeah,
Like Tony Stark is so arrogant and self-centered now, and you think obviously he gets his character arc of kind of growing in that and learning what he's doing is not a good thing. But you've seen what he becomes over 10 years of Marvel, and looking back there, it really goes to show how foundational he needed to get and how foundational this is. Other story arcs I love looking back on, like Spider-Man, is a better one where I can explain it more because I remember those movies a lot more vividly
yeah,
as a whole. But like in Homecoming, Peter wants to be more and is spending his whole time trying to prove himself that he can actually do stuff,
yeah.
even at times where it puts people at risk. But then by Far From Home, he's seen exactly what that leads to, and he doesn't want that anymore. And then No Way Home happens, and he really loses everything. But I think
Shows the
Far From Home and No Way
consequences.
Home,
Yeah,
yeah, Far From Home and No Way Home do completely recontextualize Homecoming because you know where that kind of life actually leads him specifically, and you can
yeah,
see the character go through that. And I think being able to do that is really a great either a great benefit or a huge detriment to a larger universe. But in the case of Iron Man, I think it's a pretty good benefit
yeah.
because obviously it's not just Stark we've seen grow, but all of the others. Like Rhodey is huge now. Pepper
Yeah,
also was there. Um, so 100% recontextualizing movies is another great thing to go and look back on for these character arcs and where they're at.
yeah. Just even like the line "I am Iron Man" just hits so
Mm.
hard. Like it's such a genius idea the way they use that at the end.
Yeah,
It's so cool. But anyway, I think we should move on to like talking about Tony's arc in this movie because that is definitely the heart and soul of this movie.
yeah,
So we start,
100%.
yeah, we start with just like a brilliant introduction to Iron Man. You know, he's in the he's in the war van vehicle. I don't know, with a bunch of
Something like that.
soldiers. Yeah, and you can just tell he just really doesn't care. He's just like got like a don't care attitude. You know, he's drinking on the job. You know, he's just walking around talking about like missiles and weapons like they're nothing. And
I remember one of my favorite moments from that bit is when he's like taking a photo with one of the soldiers and he
yeah,
says no peace signs, which is such a small thing, but like even that gets revisited later in the MCU. Like there's a photo in Endgame of him with Peter doing peace signs, like
yeah,
which I just think is really interesting. Like even small stuff like that is shown to his character arc later on.
yeah. He said like, yeah, peace. I love peace. I'd be out of a job with peace. So just really showing how like he doesn't care. It's just like all a joke to him. It's just like, yeah, I just this is what I do.
Oh
And
yeah.
then that really gets like it's a real shocking moment when they get attacked and then he sees his own weapon, his own bomb in front of him, Stark Industries on it, and it just blows up in his face. And he's sent
Yeah.
to the cave and he meets one of the most like I feel like he's a forgotten character in the MCU, but a valuable character is like Dr. Jensen.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, he's like really pivotal to his arc in this movie. And through them he shows Tony that like this is what his weapons do. It's just being used by terrorists, and they want him to
Mm.
build them a missile. And so it really shows how it's just really a way to humble him, and then he sees firsthand like what he's actually creating
Oh
at
yeah.
his company.
Ironically enough, I reckon if they'd have just come to him without kidnapping him, he would have built them a missile without a second thought, and we'd never have the MCU.
Yeah, it's and it just shows like as I was saying before, everything has a purpose. Like
Mm.
he doesn't just get kidnapped because like oh that'd be interesting for the plot for him to like break out of this cave. No, it's to
Yeah.
show him firsthand what like the destruction he's creating.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and you know we see the arc reactor in his chest, which is interesting enough. Purely just used to keep the shrapnel from going into his heart
Yeah.
in the movie, which is interesting. And then, well, it's originally just like a battery that Yinsen makes, and then he like just with a box of scraps, literally just builds an arc reactor in the cave and just like invents that technology at that size. It's just like, oh, this
Yeah.
guy's a genius. And
And
then they
that it,
build,
it is a
yeah,
great way. It is a great way to show that even though he acts like an arrogant nothing, he really does still have a huge level of intelligence. He really does understand what he's building.
yeah,
It's just a matter of his care factor.
yeah. He's like a genius. Like if he wanted to, he could like. Well, we see what he does. He builds like incredible things, but he was just using it to make weapons. Like this guy's literally a
Mm.
genius. Like no one could replicate his work. They like by the end they couldn't even build like the mini arc reactor, so they just steal it off him.
Mm.
They literally couldn't do it themselves, and this guy could do it in a cave with a box of scraps.
Which that quote was in this movie as well,
Yeah,
interestingly
great,
enough.
great line. Anyway, so they build the armor. They break out of there. The suit looks so cool, by the way. It's like very
Oh, yeah.
practical. And
It's
then
very
yeah,
it's very reminiscent of the early comics as well.
yeah,
Like his original Iron Man design obviously has color, and this one didn't really have that. But the design as a whole is very much it very much feels like a throwback to the comics before they settle on their live action design.
yeah. It's really cool that they can use this as an opportunity to call back to that
Mm.
and work as the first suit. But yeah, and anyway, he breaks out of there, flies away, lands on the sand. He's found by American helicopters. He gets back to America, and then the first thing he does is like, I'm gonna have a press conference. Gets everyone there, get all the people, cameras, journalists, all that, and he's just like, I'm shutting down all the
Yeah.
weapons division. And they're just like, what? It's like if Apple just announced like, hey, we're gonna stop doing iPhones. Like it's
Yeah,
crazy.
true.
Like just and then Obadiah's like, nah, he's just a bit traumatized, he's a bit crazy. Just
How can you
forget
do
him.
this? This is outrageous. It's
Yeah.
unfair. That does also show like what most people like everyone else also views about his business. Like they don't seem to care about the effects of it either.
Yeah. It's well, it's just something that doesn't happen.
Mm.
Like CEOs just don't like go, you know what? I realize that what we're doing is unethical, so we're just gonna stop it. That just doesn't happen in real life.
Yeah.
And so yeah, he has this press conference, everyone finds out, gets booted off, and then he comes home and the first thing he does is like he's working on this Iron Man suit. Because he's gonna go back because he finds out that these terrorists, you know, are still doing like terrible stuff. They're still using
Yeah.
what they have. And so he's like, I'm gonna go back and stop them. I'm not just gonna, you know, just be happy I survived. No, he's gonna actually go back and make a
Yeah.
difference.
I
And
am
then yeah.
one thing just on that cuz I'm curious cuz I didn't get to fully rewatch it like you did. So I'm curious when you see that bit, does it come across like he's doing it for revenge or because he genuinely believes they need to be stopped? I just find stuff like that interesting.
Yeah. Um there's I'm forgetting, but they really like explain like no. A journalist shows to him on the news that it's still like they're still at large or something. So he
Yeah.
feels like it's not really out of revenge. It just feels like,
Mm.
especially with what happened to Yinsen, he died. So he feels like he really owes it to go
Yeah.
back and actually stop them because they're like holding up civilians or something. And then he goes there and
Yeah.
saves them. But yeah,
100%. I
it's
think
a
that's
part of his
really
arc.
I think that's really crucial because there are a lot of ways you can take that, and I feel I can't think of a specific example, but I'm pretty certain I have seen stories where they do the good thing, but it's just out of revenge, and it really hurts the character arc.
Hmm.
And I just think it's really great seeing the way Tony approaches this. Because obviously you'd start off just being grateful you survived. But I'm sure plenty of people out there, if they had the means, would go on a bit of a genocide. But he seems like he really is changing as a person and in his view of right and wrong, which is a really good thing.
Yeah. It's like the progression of the film. It's like not enough just for him to go, I've learned my lesson now. Like he actually is going to
Mm,
act on what he's learned.
yeah.
And
But
then
it's
that,
also not
yeah,
enough to act on that for the sake of I'm still really angry at them for
yeah.
specifically what they did to me.
It's not out of revenge. It's about like doing the right
Mm,
thing with his
yeah.
newfound
Which is a
like,
pretty
yeah.
Yeah, which is obviously a pretty simple character arc from a movie perspective, but it's quite effective for a
It's
reason.
executed
It's
so
really
well.
effective with him.
Yeah. And then that leads into Obadiah, who's like, no, we're not going to shut down weapons. We can't do that. The board doesn't want to do that. We can't do that. So, and that leads to that conflict between them two because Tony obviously is like, no, I don't. We need to shut that down. We need to stop doing that. We need to work on, you know, Iron Man suits and arc reactor technology. We need to move away from doing that sort of thing. And so, and then we're getting into like the whole, and this is another aspect of the movie, is like the building of the suit. They go really into detail of like the testing and, each of the different details. Like they take time to like earn him creating the suit. Like he doesn't just like magically just make a perfect suit. Like it takes time. You know, he struggles with it. It's like a funny montage. And then even like the first one, it's just like a silver suit, and then he makes another one with like the red and the gold. It's a full process, which
Yeah.
is, I don't know, just modern Marvel. Just like they just explain like someone built this suit and it's perfect, and we don't really see that.
Yeah, like you really see that it wasn't a perfect character with an instant design. Like they show how hard the work actually is and build it up more, which just makes the payoff feel better. Like even
Yes.
just a small montage of showing that is so much better than just off screen saying it took me weeks, but I finally got this
Yeah. It's
because it
just
just it feels earned.
yeah. It's just good writing, and even with that, like that's why people don't really like. I'm not a big fan of like the nanotech suits and all that, because it's just like
Yeah,
an easy, quick fix. It's just like, oh, it just magically comes on and off, and you know, it's light and invisible. It's just easy, just whatever. This is like it's practical, heavy armor, and even like after he's like first after he uses it, he has to like it's like an awkward process of taking off the suit with all the robots, and he's
yeah,
all
true.
awkward, and it's like this isn't working very comfortably. It's just all of that like it's very practical and it feels real in a way that
Mm.
like later superhero movies just like they don't really care as much about that aspect,
Yeah,
which I
true.
just really appreciate.
Yeah, and that's not like just an Iron Man thing. Like that happens with so many superheroes. Like Ant-Man, for example, has a bit of a process putting on his suit and has a
Hmm.
lot of time working it out.
Yeah,
Which half that movie was devoted to him working all that stuff out. That's really good. And
yeah,
then
totally.
Ant Man 3, it's nanotech, and he teaches his daughter how to use it in about 5 seconds flat.
And
In
even
the middle of a life threatening situation. Like,
and they can easily like, and in that movie they're just like, oh, we can just go to the quantum realm, no problem, we
yeah,
can just do that.
when that was a 30-year long mission
Yes.
for Hank Pym. So I guess part of that, I guess, comes down to when Marvel's been running for so long, there are
Hmm.
certain things that start to feel a bit more second nature than they should, like superhero suits being that easy to work with or people knowing what they're supposed to do. That is not just a Marvel thing, but it really feels apparent when movies like Quantumania do come out. And so it definitely just makes it all the more rewarding going back in now and seeing exactly how it should feel like.
Totally. Yeah. And then we just getting to the final conflict of the film, like I said before, Obadiah, they just can't. What they trying, he gets all the best scientists. They can't make the arc reactor, so he literally just goes and steals it from Tony, poisons him, and then has his own like knockoff suit, which is, which I think is such a funny detail. In like my own head canon, it's based on
Yeah.
like the Mark One. It's got like it's using the pieces of the Mark One, but it's also like
Yeah.
really huge. I interpret it that as like they can't get the technology to make it small and slim. They have to make it
Hmm.
big and bulky,
Yeah,
just because they
true.
they're not like Tony. They can't do it. They don't have that expertise. So that's just kind of like
I
my own
interpret
head
it
canon.
I
Yeah,
interpreted it as Obadiah was just fat, but I like that better.
yeah, or that.
I I like your headcanon better. I might stick
Yeah,
with that. I'm not gonna get cancelled here. I
I
like
mean,
his headcanon.
he likes that pizza. Like, there's a scene where he's like handing out pizza. So, hey,
Look, man, pizza is pizza. What can I say?
yeah, he loves that New York pizza.
So true. Wait, it's New York pizza?
Yeah,
Oh
there's a
no.
whole thing in the movie where he was like, he mentions that he gets the pizza from New York, even though they're in Florida. So like, it would have just got cold on the plane. But anyway, don't
Maybe
don't think
that
about it.
maybe that does explain a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway,
back to the big bulky suit.
yeah, we get a really cool showdown between them two, which is like, and they really build the tension in an
Mm.
interesting way. So they fly up. The suit's only got like 10% like battery capacity, so they're running out of power. They get to the top. The plan works. Ironmonger freezes over, falls down. But then Tony does the same thing. He falls down, covered in ice, falling down, and then he's just like running out of power. He's on emergency power. He finally defeats him, knocks him over, thinks he's stunned him, but then he gets back up. And it's like, oh no, his arm is damaged. He's got no power. It's really intense. And then
Mm.
then Peggy does the power surge thing while he's still in the way. You think he's toast. He survives, but Ironmonger gets absolutely fried, electrocuted, and then they
Oh yeah,
save the day.
that's so good. And it's great that they can build up that tension because that just makes the defeat really feel earned.
Yes.
And as far as bad guys with mirror powers, like the same kind of thing, which you see a lot, I reckon Obadiah looks really good with
Hmm.
that. They found a way to still make it scary, so that's really nice to see.
Yeah. It makes sense, like on a character level, and it's just fun because it's like a big giant Iron Man with big hands.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, and then we get to the end of the movie. Tony gets with Peggy finally. I mean, not Peggy, Pepper, and finally, you know,
Tony gets with Peggy confirmed.
yeah. Don't talk
Maybe
about
that's the
that.
plot of Avengers. Maybe that's the Avengers Doomsday plot.
Yeah,
I figured it out.
it's a anyway. That yeah, they get back together. You know, they Tony finally acknowledges her and all that. You get to the end, another press meeting, and then he's like, "Yeah, I'm Iron Man." Everyone goes crazy. Credits roll, and then that's it.
Oh yeah, and it's honestly such a fun ending too.
Yeah, it hits
Um,
hard.
I Am Iron Man is not what you would normally expect from a superhero, but it works out because it's fun, it's a surprise, and it really is huge for his character. So,
Yeah, they really build it up in the film. Like there's a mystery of
mm.
who this anomaly thing is, and then it's just like, yeah, it's me, and people just go crazy. But
Oh
anyway,
yeah,
something that interesting that happens at the end. There's a little thing called a post-credit scene. Now, at the
which this
time,
is back when post-credit scenes weren't common.
these were quite rare. Yeah,
So this is more of like a little Easter egg, just for people, as opposed to your regular. We have to set up 10 movies with this post-credit scene.
exactly. Yeah,
But at the same time, it is a little bit of setup. And I do wonder if they were planning on building that up at the time, or if they just thought it would be funny to do that.
I think they intended to like do an Avengers film, like because they had
Mm.
Hulk, Captain America planned, but at the same
Yeah.
time, that wasn't like a guarantee because if these movies
Mm.
flopped, they just wouldn't be able to do that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting in that way.
Yeah. So a certain the black guy from every movie ever shows up, which is quite a high A-list name to show up for just a
Yeah,
post-credit scene, but it works pretty nicely.
like yeah, at the time that like that's crazy. Like because nowadays it's like oh yeah, whatever. They got a big actor for the post credit scene. Back then it's just like wow, just for one scene you got this huge actor. So yeah, really cool. Talks about the Avengers Initiative, and then that would have just been like at the time that would have been crazy because it's like
Mm.
what we're building up to a team up like that doesn't exist. What's a
We're
team
doing
up?
the Avengers, like that's one of the biggest things
Yeah,
in Marvel Comics. That's crazy.
yeah,
We've had X-Men, now it's time for the other cool team ups. Let's do it.
yeah, exactly. And it's actually built up like with individual films
Yeah,
building up to one team up, which isn't really a
which
thing that happened.
also at the time, like at the time, that in itself is crazy to imagine. Like, yeah, you've got movies that have sequels, like you've got an X-Men trilogy, which is technically a team up, but they
Yeah.
are just X-Men movies. That wasn't Professor X's movie, and then Wolverine's movie, and then
Yeah.
Nightcrawler's movie, all built up into one. It's like all individual. You get all individual movies for Hulk, which nobody acknowledges anymore. Um, Captain
Captain
America,
America,
Iron
Thor.
Man, Thor, and seeing that, like, that really does make Avengers feel so much more like a payoff.
Yeah.
Probably more so than any other Avengers film, I would argue. Maybe Infinity War and Endgame are pretty close, but just because of its time, I reckon Avengers is one of the biggest payoffs to get from something like this because it would be quite a huge risk at the time.
Yeah, totally. But overall, Iron Man's really solid. Like it's if you even if you don't like Marvel movies, I think you'll have some sort of enjoyment with this movie. It really stands
Yeah.
out. It's really well made, thought out clearly, and it's got a really good cast. Like RDJ is
Oh
just
yeah.
perfect in this role. Like so he's so charismatic and so natural in it, and it's just yeah, he's just born for that role.
Yeah, 100%. And it's absolutely crazy to me because RDJ, before ever being cast as Tony Stark, has always been in the minds of people producing Marvel movies. Like, I remember hearing about this recently. He was also initially an actor that some producers had thought of. I don't remember which producers. Somebody had him in mind to play Doctor Doom long ago, long
Hmm.
before he was Iron Man. But it's so clear how well he fits into this role, and it's also really good that he fits into this role because getting an actor who didn't fit Iron Man as well probably would have flopped the MCU right out the gate.
Yeah, if you got someone who was like trying to be like that charismatic sort of character, but like came off as like cringe and kind of forced, it just would
Yeah.
not have worked. But it feels so natural and just like entertaining to watch.
Yeah,
So yeah,
100%. And I really hope Doom is that entertaining as well.
yes,
Like, RDJ is an entertaining actor, but they were obviously intentional about the fact that they wanted him. So I really hope we get some of that, a lot of that charm as well as him being scary.
yeah. It's a shame he's not in more movies because he's a very good
Mm.
actor. So like I remember when he was announced as Doom, like even if he wasn't Iron Man, like it would have that casting would have made kind of sense, like because
Oh, yeah.
he was just in Oppenheimer, he got an Oscar, so it's like he was on like a high as an actor, so putting him in this role, it's just it just kind of makes sense in that way.
Yeah, 100%.
So, but yeah, good movie, good time.
Mm.
It kind of made me want to watch like Iron Man 2 and 3 now.
I mean, you get
Yeah,
no argument from me on that.
yeah, good
I mean,
movies.
it's okay. Just hear me out. It is
Yeah,
Christmas. Iron Man 3.
yeah,
It is a Christmas movie. Fight me on that.
yeah. Just on that, maybe we should do like a 12 days of like Christmas movies thing
I'd be down, and then
because I think we
I'd
actually
be happy
have
to
time to do
recap that
that.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just an idea. But anyway,
recap that here. Yeah,
that was yeah, we had a good time. Thanks for coming out, Aiden. It's been a good episode.
literally any time. Thank you all for listening to Rogue 2, and we will be back next week with hopefully a whole bunch more trailers, a whole bunch more news, and another interesting topic to ramble about.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you. See you guys later.
I will see you soon.